Welcome back to Marvelous Videos, where today we are exploring yet another interesting member of the weird and wonderful world of cryptids, the Mothman. Like all cryptids, this creature is shrouded in mystery, and people are completely split over its existence. While some believe that the Mothman is the product of someone's overactive imagination or an exaggerated urban legend, some believe that the Mothman truly lives amongst us. Marvelous Videos is here to give you all the information you need to place your bets on this debate. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. The origins of the Mothman, a historical overview. The earliest sighting of Mothman has been recorded in November of 1966. On November 12, 1966, 5 men were busy digging graves at a cemetery in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. The men, employees at the cemetery, looked up to see what seemed like a huge man with wings jump off and fly away from a tree. Although there was some debate among the men as to what they witnessed, they were sure about one thing: what they saw was not an ordinary creature. They weren't the only ones to witness this unique creature, as the Mothman would soon make a second appearance. 3 days later, on November 15, 1996, 2 young couples from Point Pleasant, Steve and Mary Mallett, and Roger and Linda Scarberry, saw a humanoid figure near an area known commonly as the TNT area. This area got its name from a munitions plant which was established during World War II. The humanoid figure stood in the middle of the road and looked on like a deer in headlights, its eyes shining bright and red as the headlights hit it. The ominous creature terrified the young couples who drove off. Within moments, they heard a terrible screeching noise. Roger Scarberry, who was driving the car, checked his rearview mirror to locate the source of the screech, and what he saw would change his life forever. It was the Mothman, with red eyes and long wings chasing them. Determined to escape, Roger Scarberry started to speed, but the creature gave chase easily. He later told the cops that he was going over 100 miles per hour, but the creature glided along without any effort. As soon as they reached a safe place away from the Mothman, they called the police and narrated their experience. This wouldn't be the last time people saw Mothman, as he began to frequent the areas around Point Pleasant, and many West Virginians had a run-in with the Mothman. Noel Partridge was a contractor who lived in Salem, West Virginia. One night, he saw his pet dog, a German shepherd named Bandit, barking at a flying creature. Partridge reportedly shined his torchlight towards the flying reflectors. After the sighting, Partridge also lost his dog Bandit. Partridge claims that Bandit seemingly vanished into thin air, as he could see paw prints leading up to the yard from his house, but disappear in the yard. He also reported that his TV started to malfunction, as it repeatedly made a buzzing noise. 2 volunteer firemen also witnessed this flying creature and described it as a large bird with big red eyes. Soon, sightings of the Mothman began to circulate in the American Midwest, with people giving it a lot of monikers like the flying creature or Birdman. The first news report describing the experience of the Scarberry and Mallett couples see man-sized bird, creature, something. But eventually some newspapers named the cryptid the Mothman, inspired by a villainous killer moth in the Batman series who was later named Caraxes. This name was quickly picked by other newspapers, and the locals, and Mothman was soon a recognizable name. Describing the Mothman: appearance and behavior. The one characteristic of the Mothman that everyone agrees on, and is evident from the corroborating eyewitness accounts, is its menacing large red eyes. Other than that, the accounts vary when it comes to the appearance of the Mothman. The fact that nearly all sightings of the Mothman have occurred at nighttime, with minimal light, also contributes to the different descriptions of Mothman. Mothman is described as a tall biped humanoid. A humanoid is anything that has human features but is not human. We know from the accounts of Roger and Linda Scarberry and Steve and Mary Mallett that he is at least 7 feet tall and could fly at a speed of 100 miles per hour. His incredible flight speed might be thanks to his long wing, as he is rumored to have a wingspan of 10 to 15 feet. Mothman's color is disputed, as some claim he is black or gray in color, while some claim that he is brown. As mentioned earlier, this dispute is a result of the lack of light when these sightings occur. Some people also claim that he has no head and that his eyes are on his chest. Mothman sometimes has been reported of folding up his wings and shuffling along the road with a walk that resembles a penguin. Another interesting observation of Mothman witnesses is that he rarely flaps his wings and shoots straight up or glides along to fly. Mothman has also been compared to an owl. Mothman's powerful and terrible red eyes are also rumored to cause nervous breakdowns and psychological trauma to anyone who stares into them. The Mothman and its connection to tragedy. While the accounts of sightings increased in the 1960s, they came to an abrupt halt in December 1967 when the Silver Bridge collapsed. The Silver Bridge was a large suspension bridge constructed in the Ohio River that was built in 1928 to connect West Virginia and Ohio, built entirely of steel. This bridge was over 2,000 feet long and 700 feet high. The collapse of the Silver Bridge was a major tragedy, as over 60 people were injured and 49 died. Government officials were puzzled at this collapse and were unable to theorize why this sturdy bridge mysteriously collapsed. Because of the sudden decrease in Mothman sighting, rumors and theories began to generate that the arrival of Mothman was somehow connected to the collapse of the Silver Bridge. Many people believed that Mothman was the reason for the mysterious collapse of the Silver Bridge, while some believed that Mothman had arrived to warn them, as there were no reports of anyone being harmed by the cryptid. Some people believe that Mothman was not a force of evil, but someone who warned people of impending doom. Whether Mothman was a harbinger of evil or not, people began to associate the sight of Mothman with upcoming tragedy. Author of the 1975 book, The Mothman Prophecies, John Keel also supported this theory, as he claimed that residents of Point Pleasant had premonitions and dreams of the Silver Bridge collapsing before the tragedy. This has been supported by sightings of Mothman before serious tragedies like the attack on the World Trade Center on 9/11, the nuclear accidents in Chernobyl and Fukushima, and the collapse of the I-35 West Minnesota Bridge. Russian ufologists have also claimed that Mothman visited them in Moscow before the 1999 apartment bombings in Russia. Theories and interpretations of the Mothman. So where did this Mothman come from? Some believe that he is an angel trying to save humans from impending doom, while some believe he is a demon causing mischief. There are Native American legends that match the Mothman's description, mainly that of the Masingwa. The Masingwa is a creature mentioned in Shawnee tradition as the protector of animals, who lives in the forest to make sure that all the animals are protected and no human is harming them. According to this legend, the Masingwa doles out punishment to cruel humans, so this could be used to explain the collapse of the Silver Bridge. There is also another legend where Chief Cornstalk, a respected Native American, put a blood curse on the town as he was murdered there along with his son. Mothman is believed to be a result of that curse. Some ufologists and people who believe in the extraterrestrials believe that the Mothman is an alien. This has been supported by UFO sightings around the same area where Mothman sightings occur. And Men in Black, the secret organization, harassing people who witnessed the Mothman not to speak about their experience with anybody. Others believe that it is all a massive hoax, as there have not been any authentic photographic evidence of the Mothman. They believe that it is a rumor that has gained some momentum through tricksters and frauds who are looking to get their 15 minutes of fame. John Nickel, who is a skeptic, has pointed out to construction workers who tied helium balloons to red flashlights as enough evidence that much of Mothman sightings are hoaxes. Many people think that this is just a case of mistaken identity, as people might have encountered large birds that they didn't recognize and given them the name of the Mothman. One possible speculation is that people were simply seeking huge owls and were confused thanks to the darkness, or as wildlife biologist Dr. Robert L. Smith believes, people might have actually seen sandhill cranes. According to Dr. Smith, sandhill cranes are very similar to the description of the Mothman, right down to the height and wingspan. They also have reddish circles around their eyes, which might be the red eyes that witnesses saw. Mason County Sheriff George Johnson, who was one of the first people to hear first-hand accounts of the original witnesses, believes it is just a large heron. Mothman in popular culture. The legend of Mothman has grown far beyond its original sighting in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, from a local urban legend to a cultural phenomenon. Point Pleasant has embraced the Mothman by putting up statues and establishing museums that attract cryptid enthusiasts and tourists alike. With an annual Mothman festival, Point Pleasant is now the primary spot for fans of Mothman. Mothman has attracted a lot of curiosity around the world, which has resulted in pop culture shredding some limelight on the creature. John Keel's 1975 book, The Mothman Prophecies, is largely credited for popularizing the legend, and it was soon adapted into a movie of the same name, starring Richard Gere and directed by Mark Pellington. Since then, Mothman has popped up all over the place in pop culture, getting nods in comics, video games, movies, and even podcasts. In Watchmen, 1986, a minor superhero named Mothman appears. Mothman also made his way into the Japanese RPG series, Megami Tensei, first showing up in Shin Megami Tensei, Devil Summoner, in 1995. There's also The Perhaps-Nots, a comic series where Mothman plays a supportive role in the form of Carl, Indrid Cold, A memorable character from the action role-playing game series, Adventure Zone, is a Mothman and appears twice. Once in the Adventure Zone Amnesty, 2018, and again in the Adventure Zone Dust, 2022, as a player character. Mothman is also a major character in the popular video game Fallout 76 released in 2018. Netflix's Unsolved Mysteries dedicated an entire episode to the strange happenings and legends surrounding Mothman. Modern sightings and the ongoing legacy of the Mothman. The sightings of Mothman have not stopped, and many residents of Point Pleasant claim to have seen him loitering in the skies at night. As mentioned earlier, Mothman is not confined to Point Pleasant and is rumored to visit any place where tragedy is about to strike. Many people claim to have seen Mothman in Russia and Japan as well. Point Pleasant residents organize a Mothman festival every year on the third weekend of September. This tradition has been kept alive ever since it was brought to place in 2002. People all over the world flock into Point Place to gain new insights about this cryptid and know all that they can about the legendary Mothman. The festival hosts many guest speakers and is a lively event with vendors, live music, and events for all ages. Point Pleasant also has a 12-foot tall metallic statue of the legendary creature. It was created by Bob Roach and unveiled in 2003. Jeff Walmsley, who was enamored by the mystery of Mothman, runs the Mothman Museum and Research Center, which was opened in 2005. These act as centerpieces in the Mothman Festival and are a tourist attraction in Point Pleasant. What are the powers and abilities of the Mothman? The Mothman isn't just some shadowy figure gliding through the night. He's rumored to have an unsettling set of abilities that make him genuinely terrifying. Let's begin with his terrifying ability of flight. He can fly up to 100 miles per hour without even flapping his wings. If that is not terrifying enough, he also has those red eyes which are capable of triggering fight and flight responses in anyone who dares to look at him. Not only that, but there have been rumors of him driving people insane. His wings don't just let him fly, they give him a way of blending into his surroundings, almost like he can hide in plain sight. Marvelous verdict. So this has been the elusive and mysterious Mothman. We have laid down the story before you, and now it's up to you to decide whether you think Mothman is just a shared delusion, an elaborate hoax created by the people at Point Pleasant to drive up Tour Street, or is Mothman, like all cryptids, a lone humanoid looking merely for companionship? Or is the cryptid an angel trying to save us from tragedy? Or is the Mothman himself the troublemaker? Either way, if ever you see a Mothman, run. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one, and be safe. Thanks, everyone.